Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how you can build astronomical images just like the professionals at NASA do. So if you go into Canvas, you can see the Building Astro Images assignment, and there's going to be some of the links that you're going to want there. You're going to use this JS9 FITS image viewer to do our work. A FITS file is a very common file type in astronomy that's for showing astronomical images. So here is our JS9 FITS image viewer. A couple important things to point out. There's the pixel brightness for a certain area. So if it's at 0, well, there's no brightness. As it goes higher, there's more photons there. Here's the right ascension, the declination of that image, and where your cursor would be. A very helpful tool over here is scale. So I want you to click on scale, and I want you to choose a couple of those other scales. Notice that we have the scale currently going from 0 to 51, but try out some of those other scales for a minute. So once you've gone through and you've seen how different scales might be useful depending on what kind of image you have, take it back to log. Then let's go over here and select the color menu. I want you to turn it to gray, where you see now everything in grayscale, and then I want you to go back to the color maps, and at the bottom of the color menu I want you to choose invert. Notice how this could be pretty helpful when you're trying to view faint objects in an otherwise very dark sky. But I want you to turn invert back off, pick Viridis, and then click on color controls at the bottom of the color menu. So if you click and hold on the bottom right corner of the image and drag the mouse to the left, notice how the color is going to shift. Notice the color bar at the bottom is shifting. This is adjusting what astronomers call the bias of the image, which essentially kind of deals with the noise of the image. Notice depending on where you have it, it might be a very noisy image or not very noisy image. Next, I want you to click and hold in the bottom right corner of the image and drag the mouse up, and then you can drag it back down. Notice how the color shifts, including the color bar at the bottom of the image. Here you're adjusting the contrast of the image or the level of detail between pixels of different values. You can click and move the mouse around the image to move both the contrast and the bias, and you can change it all at once. With the color control menu, you can also just type in a number that you feel is appropriate. All right, now we're going to want to use Sky View to actually find some astronomical images that we can start to build together. So Sky View, this has got a whole bunch of different telescope data from a whole bunch of different parts of the electromagnetic spectrum. We are going to look for the M42 nebula, so we'll type that in there, and then we are going to choose the SDSSR. This is the Sloan Digital Sky Survey in the red filter. Then down below in the common options for image size, we're going to choose 400 pixels and an image size of 0.5 degrees, and then we'll hit submit request. And it's going to take a minute. I'm sorry. I know it's slow. Eventually the data should load, and it's going to look kind of like this. Where it says download fits, that little link right there, don't click on it. We want you to right click on it, or kind of use a 2-finger tap on your trackpad. That's going to bring up this menu, and we're going to click on copy link address. So if we go back to JS9, we'll go to File, Close, and close this image so we get rid of this. Then open Remote, and then we're going to type in there, we're just going to actually click Control V to paste in the link that we had just copied, and then we hit open. And now you can see M42, the Orion Nebula, but it's all in grayscale. Now we said this was using a red filter, so we're going to go to color and then select red. And we want to make sure RGB mode is selected. So here's the Orion Nebula in the red filter. We'll go back to sky view, type in M42 again, but this time we're going to go for the SDSSG, the green filter. Again, let's use 400 pixels, 0.5 degrees, and submit request. Eventually, we'll get this again. Right click, copy the link address, and back in JS9, we're just going to open remote, delete everything in there, Control V the new one, and open it, and we'll see a grayscale image. Let's go to color, assign that green, and notice how it's already started to put that together, trying to put the green and the red images as one. Finally, we need our blue. So again, we're going to find the M42 Nebula, but this time we're going to use SDSSU for ultraviolet. There's not a blue one, ultraviolet's going to work good enough. Same parameters as before, submit request. Here we get in an ultraviolet light, right click, copy link address, open remote, and make sure to assign this new one as blue. And now we're starting to see an RGB image here. If I go back to file, notice I can see each one of the individual images there. It tells me the red slot, green slot, blue slot. I can go back and I can adjust the scale, the bias, the contrast for each of those. Or I could also go to view and sync images and make sure the contrast and bias are synced, the scale is synced, and I could adjust everything all at once and try to get some different views that really show what I'm trying to look at. So once you've finished creating your image, make sure to take a screenshot, submit the image here, and then see if you can find yourself another astronomical image that might be worthwhile and make an RGB image of that using the same technique we just talked about.